AITA for staying after my boyfriend cheated twice? My name is Lila, and I've been with my boyfriend Marcus for almost 3 years. In the beginning, our relationship felt like breathing fresh air after being trapped in a small room. Everything was light, fun, and exciting. We laughed constantly. We stayed up late talking about our dreams, and even the way he looked at me felt like it was filled with love. We used to tease each other playfully, sometimes joking about people we found attractive. It was never meant to cross any boundaries. It was just our way of feeling close, like we were so secure that nothing could shake us. But over time, I started to notice little cracks forming. About a year into our relationship, something in Marcus shifted. He became harder to read. He would check his phone often, holding it a little too close to his chest when I was nearby. His eyes didn't meet mine as easily, and his answers to simple questions grew shorter. One evening, I asked directly, "Marcus, is there something going on?" He looked me right in the eyes and said, "No, of course not." His tone was steady, almost too steady, like he had rehearsed the answer. I wanted to believe him, so I did. But a small voice inside me kept whispering that something wasn't right. Months later, on his birthday of all days, he finally admitted the truth. His words came out haltingly, like he was choking on them. He told me he had been with someone else. I froze. The room felt too small, my chest too tight. I couldn't even form words at first. He kept talking, saying he felt confused, saying he regretted it, that it had only happened once. He said he didn't want to lose me. I wanted to scream. I wanted to walk out, but I stayed. I told myself I could forgive him, that maybe people make mistakes, and love means giving chances. But something inside me broke that day, and no matter how much I tried to glue it back together, the pieces didn't fit the same. Since then, I haven't been myself. I cry over things I used to let go. I snap at Marcus when his tone feels dismissive, even if he swears he doesn't mean it that way. I feel like my emotions are always spilling over, too heavy to hold inside. Sometimes I look in the mirror and barely recognize the person staring back. But then it happened again. This time, Marcus told me the same day. He almost looked proud of his honesty, like he deserved credit for admitting it right away. He told me it meant nothing, that it was just a mistake, that he thought telling me quickly would make it easier. It didn't. It shattered me all over again. I had just come back from therapy, trying to learn how to cope with the first betrayal, when he dropped this second confession into my lap. It felt cruel, like a punishment I didn't deserve. I wanted to curl up and disappear. I've been trying so hard to make sense of it. I've tried therapy, I've tried journaling, I've tried talking to friends, but nothing lifts the heaviness. I feel like the version of myself who was once calm, trusting, and open has been buried under anger, fear, and sadness. The worst part came during one of our fights. Marcus told me that my emotions, my tears, and my anger made it harder for him to stay faithful. I couldn't believe it. He was putting the blame on me, as if my pain was the reason for his betrayal. Something inside me snapped. I shouted at him, words spilling out that I can't take back. I told him it was his fault, that he couldn't control himself, that he had destroyed the relationship with his own choices. My voice shook with rage, and for a moment, I didn't even recognize myself. He stared at me like I had turned into a stranger. Maybe I have. Maybe his actions forced me into becoming someone I never wanted to be. And yet, I still love him. That's the part one hate admitting the most. Even after everything, I can't just switch off my feelings. He's not just the man who hurt me. He's also the man who held my hand when I was sick, who made me laugh when I felt insecure, who whispered promises in the quiet moments that I still remember. I don't want to let go, but I don't know how to keep going like this. I don't know how to stop feeling so angry and broken. I don't know if forgiveness is even possible anymore, or if love by itself is enough to save us. Every day feels like a choice I can't make. Do I keep trying, or do I walk away before there's nothing left of me to salvage? A few weeks after our last fight, Marcus and I agreed that maybe some space would help us breathe. The tension in our apartment had become unbearable. Every conversation felt like walking barefoot over broken glass. One wrong word, and we were bleeding again. So he packed a bag and stayed at his brother's place across town. At first, it felt strangely quiet. We exchanged polite texts, simple things like good morning or sleep well. I thought maybe the distance would give us clarity. But soon, the silence between those texts started to feel louder than any fight we'd ever had. When I asked him what he was doing, he often took hours to reply. Sometimes it was just a vague, "I'm out," or "busy." When I pressed for more details, he snapped back with, "I don't have to check in every second, Lila." I told myself to stay calm, but the truth is, every unanswered message felt like a replay of his betrayals. Every delayed response twisted into a new suspicion. I wanted reassurance, and he wanted freedom. We were pulling in opposite directions, and the rope between us was burning my hands raw. One night, I couldn't hold hold it in anymore. I typed out a long message, every word dripping with exhaustion. I feel like I'm always begging you for honesty, like I'm chasing after a shadow I can never catch. I am so tired, Marcus. Tired of this cycle of betrayal, apology, and distance. You broke something in me, and I don't know how to heal when you act like it should be easy to forget. His reply came within minutes, sharp and defensive. I don't know what more you want me to do. I've told you I'm sorry. I've been trying. You're the one who won't let go. Reading that shattered me. My hands shook so badly, I almost dropped my phone. Tears blurred my vision, and I hated how small and powerless I felt in that moment. He thought my pain was stubbornness. He thought my silence and tears were me refusing to move forward, when in reality, I was carrying the weight of every broken promise he left behind. The next day, Marcus showed up at my door unannounced. He stood there holding a small grocery bag, a forced smile on his face. I thought I could cook dinner for us, he said, like a simple meal could fix what had been torn apart. Against my better judgment, I let him in. For a brief moment, it felt almost normal. He moved around my kitchen like he used to, humming softly while he chopped vegetables. I sat at the table, watching him, feeling that flicker of hope I hated myself for still having. But halfway through the meal, the calm cracked. I put down my fork and asked the question that had been clawing at my chest for weeks. Can you honestly tell me you won't ever hurt me again? The air went still. He set his fork down, rubbed his face with both hands, and let out a long sigh. Finally, he looked at me and said quietly, I can't promise that, Lila. I can only promise I'll try. Those words cut deeper than silence ever could. I stared at him, stunned. To me, love meant safety, commitment, the certainty that no matter what storm came, we would protect each other. To him, love seemed like trying, hoping, but never guaranteeing. I whispered, almost to myself, that's not enough. His face hardened. Then maybe nothing will ever be enough for you. The rest of the meal was silent, heavy with words unsaid. After he left, I sat on the edge of my bed scrolling through our old photos. There we were, smiling at the beach, laughing in the kitchen, holding hands on a rainy walk. Those people felt like strangers now. That night, I realized something I had been too afraid to admit. Marcus and I weren't fighting for the same future. I was clinging to the idea of unshakable love, while he was offering me uncertainty wrapped in apologies. For the first time, the thought of leaving didn't feel like jumping off a cliff. It felt like opening a door I had been too scared to touch. So, I made the hardest choice. I called Marcus and told him I couldn't do it anymore. My voice shook, but I didn't take the words back. He was quiet on the other end for a long time before finally saying, if that's what you need, then I guess this is goodbye. The line went dead, and so did we. It hurts. God, it hurts more than I can put into words. But as I sat in the silence after the call, I realized something. For the first time in months, the storm inside me was quiet. Maybe this was the only way to save myself.
Lila, you are not the Aita. Fresh perspective. Your story reads like a novel where the early chapters shine with warmth, spontaneity, and belonging, only for the later pages to drown under secrecy, betrayal, and blame-shifting. What stands out is not weakness in you but endurance and almost heroic effort to salvage something that Marcus repeatedly undermined. He sought forgiveness without transformation, comfort without accountability, companionship without reciprocity. That's not partnership, that's extraction. Personal insight. When Marcus confessed the second time and tried to wear honesty like a medal, he revealed his misunderstanding of repair. Transparency without integrity is performative. Telling the truth after shattering trust doesn't absolve him, it only resets the cycle of injury. His admission that he could never guarantee fidelity wasn't a flaw in expression, it was a declaration of incompatibility. You wanted foundation, he offered shifting sand. Suggestion: redirect energy toward rediscovering yourself. Reclaim solitude, rebuild hobbies that once fed you, and surround yourself with allies who affirm your worth instead of eroding it. Healing may require solitude that feels brutal at first, but it creates space where your voice no longer drowns beneath apologies that lack follow-through. Consider journaling not only about pain but about daily gratitudes, however small: sunlight through curtains, laughter with a friend, a walk that steadies breath. Those simple noticings gradually stitch resilience back together. Joke: Marcus arriving with groceries as though pasta and zucchini could patch a crater of betrayal is almost sitcom absurd. It's like burning down a library and then handing you a bookmark as if that fixes the story. Sometimes levity reveals the gap between gesture and reality. Your needs were skyscrapers, and he was offering sandcastles. Extended reflection: you still love him, and that doesn't diminish your strength. Love is sticky, irrational, stitched with memories that cling. But love alone is insufficient without respect, stability, and alignment. What you chose to end it wasn't abandoning love, it was choosing self-preservation over erosion. You didn't fail, you evolved. That quiet you felt after the goodbye? That's your spirit reclaiming oxygen after being smothered by confusion. Verdict: you are not the Aita. Marcus repeatedly betrayed commitment, projected responsibility onto you, and trivialized the weight of his actions. By walking away, you're not destroying something precious, you're stepping out of a maze built by someone else's contradictions. Before we jump into the next story, don't forget to like and subscribe, and let us know your favorite part in the comments.
ATA for resenting my partner's training while pregnant and parenting? My name is Naomi, and I've been with my partner, Ethan, for 5 years. We have a 2-year-old daughter, and I'm currently 6 months pregnant with our second child. From the outside, our life probably looks steady. We both work, we have a cozy little apartment, and we try our best to balance work and parenting. But inside our home, things have started to feel heavy. Ethan recently committed himself to training for a long-distance cycling event. It's not just a casual hobby, he's completely immersed in it. He spends hours researching gear, mapping routes, and logging his rides. It's something he's dreamed about for a long time, and now that he finally has the chance, he's giving it everything. At first, I thought it was wonderful. I wanted to be supportive. I told him how proud I was that he had a passion he cared about. But as the weeks went by, my perspective shifted. The truth is, his training has started to take more from me than I ever imagined. I work 4 shifts a week at a dental clinic. They're not short shifts, they're long, draining days where I'm on my feet, talking to patients, keeping up with schedules. By the time I get home, I'm physically and emotionally spent. On top of that, our daughter is at an age where she's curious about everything. She climbs, she runs, she asks for attention constantly. She's wonderful, but she's also exhausting, especially with me being pregnant and dealing with little sleep. Our daughter still wakes up at night, sometimes once, sometimes 2 or 3 times. Ethan helps when he can, but more often than not, he's focused on getting enough rest for his early training rides. He wakes up before dawn, slips out quietly, and I'm the one stumbling into her room, rubbing my swollen eyes, trying to soothe her back to sleep. On weekends, when I imagine us being together as a family, Ethan is usually out cycling for hours. He leaves after breakfast and doesn't come back until close to lunch. By then, our daughter is usually down for her nap, and I've already carried the whole morning by myself. When he walks back through the door, tired but proud, I don't always feel relief. Sometimes I just feel invisible. I've tried to explain how this feels. Once, while he was on his lunch break, I called him. My voice shook as I said, "I just need you to see how much weight I'm carrying. I feel like I don't have room to breathe." He was quiet for a moment before saying, "I hear you, Naomi. But this is important to me too. It's the one thing I'm doing just for myself." That answer broke something inside me. I don't begrudge him for having something of his own, but right now, everything feels lopsided. He gets to chase a goal that fills him with pride, while I'm left managing sleepless nights, doctor's appointments, endless laundry, grocery runs, and a toddler who never slows down. It's not just about the cycling, it's about what it represents. I feel like I'm giving up pieces of myself every day to keep us afloat, while he keeps adding more to himself. We've fought about it more than once. One night, after he came home late from a ride, I confronted him in the kitchen. "Ethan, you're never here when I need you most. You don't see what this is doing to me." He set down his helmet, sighed, and replied, "Naomi, I'm not disappearing. I'm just riding. This is healthy for me. It's not like I'm out partying or avoiding the family." "That's not the point," I snapped. "The point is I'm drowning, and you're acting like it's fine because technically you're not doing anything wrong." The argument stretched for hours. I cried. He got defensive. He said I was making him feel guilty for wanting something of his own. I said he was making me feel abandoned. Neither of us won. We just went to bed, lying back to back, the silence between us louder than the words we had shouted. The next morning, we pretended like nothing happened. He made coffee. I dressed our daughter. But underneath the routine, there was this thick tension. I caught myself studying his face, wondering if he even noticed how tired I was, wondering if he realized how much I missed him, even though he was standing just a few feet away. Some evenings, after putting our daughter to bed, I scroll through old photos. Pictures of us at the beach, laughing with friends. Pictures of us during our first year together, smiling so wide it looked like nothing could break us. I stare at those photos and wonder, what happened to us? When did I become the one holding everything while he kept reaching for more? There are moments I want to scream, "What about me?" But the words stick in my throat. Instead, I stay quiet, swallowing my resentment until it burns inside me. The truth is, I'm torn. I want to be supportive. I want to be the kind of partner who cheers him on. But I also want to be seen, heard, and cared for. I want him to look at me and realize that I'm carrying more than just a pregnancy. I'm carrying the weight of this family, and it's heavy. A week after I wrote my original post, Ethan and I had what I thought would be a breakthrough conversation, but instead, it left me feeling more alone than ever. It happened on a Saturday morning. Ethan had been gone for nearly 4 hours on one of his long training rides. I'd spent the morning chasing our daughter around the apartment while also trying to cook her breakfast, fold laundry, and stop my swollen ankles from throbbing. By the time he walked through the door, sweat dripping down his temples and a smile tugging at his lips, I felt like I was about to break in half. He leaned down to kiss me, but I pulled back slightly and blurted, "I can't do mornings like this anymore, Ethan. It's too much. I need you here." The words hung between between us like heavy air. I expected him to say something, anything that showed he understood. Instead, he just froze. His face closed up. He walked past me, grabbed a water bottle, and sat on the couch, scrolling through his phone as if I hadn't spoken. I waited. Minutes ticked by. Our daughter toddled around the living room, babbling, tugging at his arm. He gave her a half-hearted smile, but not a word to me. Not a single one. That silence felt sharper than shouting. The entire day passed like that. He barely looked at me, barely said anything beyond the basics. Even at dinner, when our daughter smeared mashed potatoes all over her face and we laughed, it was as if we were two strangers sharing a table, pretending to be a family. Later that night, after I finally got our daughter to sleep, I checked my phone and that's when I saw it. A WhatsApp notification from Ethan. Even though he was just in the living room, barely a wall away. The message read, "I don't know how to balance this. Every time I try, it feels like I'm letting you down or letting myself down." I stared at it, my chest tightening. He was right there, but instead of facing me, he texted me, like I was some problem he didn't have the courage to speak to. Tears blurred my vision. I grabbed my phone, walked into the living room, and stood in front of him. My voice cracked as I said, "Why did you text me instead of saying this out loud?" He didn't even look at me at first. Then he muttered, "It's easier for me that way." Something inside me snapped. "Easier for you?" I shot back. "Do you have any idea how hard this is for me? I'm pregnant. I'm exhausted. I'm raising our daughter while you're out on your bike for hours, and you can't even talk to me? You'd rather send me a message like we're co-workers instead of partners." He sighed, finally meeting my eyes, but his expression was unreadable. "Naomi, every time I try to talk to you, it turns into this. A fight. Accusations. I'm tired too." That was it. I lost it. I raised my voice, telling him how invisible I felt, how I was drowning in responsibilities while he was chasing a dream that left me behind. He shot back that I was making him feel guilty for doing something healthy, something that mattered to him. The conversation spiraled, our words sharper and louder, until finally he stood up, grabbed his bike, and slammed the door behind him, even though it was already dark outside. I stood there in the quiet apartment, my hands shaking, our daughter asleep in the next room. My chest ached, my stomach turned. For the first time, I wondered if this wasn't just about cycling. Maybe it was about something bigger, how we had stopped hearing each other at all. The next morning, I didn't even see him before he left for work. Instead, my phone buzzed with a voice message while he was driving. His voice sounded tired, strained, almost rehearsed. He said, "I'm sorry. I didn't mean to leave like that. I'll shorten my weekend rides. Maybe start earlier so I'm home before breakfast is over." I sat on the couch, listening to that message over and over, and instead of relief, I felt nothing, just numb, because I realized something. This wasn't the first time he'd promised me adjustments. It wouldn't be the last. This cycle, me breaking down, him apologizing, me still feeling alone, was already repeating again and again. That night, after putting our daughter to bed, I sat in the dark and let myself think a thought I'd never dared to before. What if I stopped waiting for him to choose us first? The idea terrified me, but for the first time, it didn't feel impossible.
Naomi, you are absolutely not the AITA. Fresh insight. What leaps out is not simply exhaustion but a profound starvation of acknowledgement. Your daily contributions resemble a marathon without medals, water stations, or cheering crowds. Ethan's cycling dream grants him external validation, miles logged, calories tracked, endorphins released, while your labor, though monumental, disappears into the background. The imbalance is not about who works harder but about whose efforts are visible. When devotion goes unrecognized, affection starts dissolving into resentment, and that erosion is what you're sensing in your silence-filled apartment. Observation. His reliance on screens, whether Strava statistics or WhatsApp confessions, reveals a deeper avoidance of proximity. Digital messages shield him from your trembling voice, your tearful eyes, your trembling hands. Yet intimacy requires discomfort. If he only articulates vulnerability through pixels, then emotional connection becomes outsourced, leaving you stranded in the very room he occupies. That isn't partnership, it's parallel existence. Suggestion: consider reframing your requests not as sacrifices he must surrender, but as exchanges that protect both of you. For instance, if you dedicate mornings to writing, then evenings belong to me, uninterrupted. Or, for every long ride, you also schedule one family outing where you lead. This reframing shifts the discussion away from guilt and toward equitable trade-offs. If he refuses, then it's not a matter of scheduling, it's a matter of priorities, and that clarity may empower you to step off the treadmill of repeating breakdowns. Humor. His endurance event might be thousands of kilometers long, but the truly grueling ultramarathon is happening inside your apartment. You're juggling sleep deprivation, swollen ankles, endless laundry, tantrums, and dental shifts, all without a finish line or even a participation ribbon. He might brag about conquering steep climbs, but you're scaling metaphorical Everest every single night when the toddler cries at 2 a.m. Honestly, if there were medals for multitasking while pregnant, you'd need a trophy shelf larger than your apartment. apartment. Different angle, nostalgia, for you, isn't indulgence, it's a survival tactic. You scroll through beach photographs not because you're stuck in the past but because those frozen smiles remind you that joy once existed between you. That recollection acts like oxygen when the present feels suffocating. Yet nostalgia has an expiry date. If you keep inhaling memories instead of breathing reality, your spirit will wither. You need present tense evidence of love, not just relics. Unspoken truth, Ethan frames his cycling as healthy. But health isn't just cardiovascular fitness, it's relational balance, emotional presence, family stability. A heart rate monitor might applaud his training, but your aching chest and heavy mind are screaming warnings. True wellness must encompass both bodies in the relationship, not just the one pedaling away. Verdict: you remain blameless. Ethan isn't cruel, but he is careless, absorbed in a loop that fuels him while starving you. Promises of shorter rides are bandages, not cures. If you decide to stop waiting for him to prioritize your family, you won't be dismantling love, you'll be reclaiming dignity. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Got a story to share? Drop it in the comments and let us know which one was your favorite. If you enjoyed this video, you'll definitely want to check out AITA for getting revenge on my neighbor for using my driveway. Click here to watch it now.